The words echo in my mind as I materialize in a cloud of displaced air and golden light. My boots hitting sun-baked earth so hard it sends shockwaves up my legs. The chrono module on my wrist still hums with residual energy, its display flickering between coordinates and temporal signatures. 480 BCE. Thermopylae. The hot gates. I've landed exactly where I meant to, but nothing could have prepared me for the scene that unfolds before my eyes. The smell hits me first. Blood. Sweat. The acrid stench of fear mixing with the metallic tang of spilled life. I'm standing at the edge of a narrow pass, surrounded by jagged cliffs that rise like the teeth of some ancient god. The morning sun hasn't fully crested the eastern mountains yet, painting everything in shades of crimson and gold. It would be beautiful if it weren't for the bodies. They're everywhere, Persians mostly, their ornate armor crushed and bloodied, faces frozen in their final moments of terror. But scattered among them like fallen stars in a sea of darkness are the Spartans. Red cloaks, bronze shields, the legendary warriors of Lacedaemon who, according to every historical record I've ever read, are supposed to make their last stand here in just 2 days. But something's wrong. My analytical mind races through the temporal data as I kneel beside the nearest fallen Spartan. His breastplate is caved in, a spear wound that would have killed him instantly. Except he's not dead. Not yet. His chest rises and falls in shallow, desperate gasps. His eyes, the color of storm clouds over the Aegean, lock onto mine with an intensity that makes my breath catch. Water. He rasps, his voice like gravel scraping against stone. Blood bubbles at the corner of his mouth. Please. I shouldn't. Every protocol I've ever been taught screams at me not to interfere. The temporal authority's first rule: observe, never participate, document, never alter. My hand moves to my canteen anyway, muscle memory overriding training. Because I'm looking at a man, not a historical footnote. A human being who's dying in agony on ground that's still warm from yesterday's sun. His name is carved into the bronze band on his arm. Alexandros, son of someone whose name time has already forgotten. I uncap the canteen and lift his head gently, cradling it in my arm. The water touches his cracked lips and he drinks like a man who's been wandering the desert for 40 days. Some of it spills down his chin, mixing with the blood there, turning pink as it soaks into the red fabric of his cloak. Thank you, he whispers, and in his eyes I see something shift. Recognition, maybe. Or perhaps just the gratitude of a dying man who's been shown a final kindness by a stranger. That's when I hear it. The sound that will haunt my dreams for years to come. Footsteps. Hundreds of them, synchronized and purposeful, echoing off the cliff walls like approaching thunder. I turn slowly, very slowly, my hand instinctively moving to the temporal displacement device on my belt. What I see makes my blood run cold. They emerge from the morning mist like ghosts made solid. 300 Spartan warriors arranged in perfect phalanx formation, their shields locked together in an impenetrable wall of bronze and discipline. At their head stands a man who can only be King Leonidas himself. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a beard that's gone more gray than black, and eyes that have seen more death than any man should witness in a lifetime. He's not wearing the helmet yet, the one with the distinctive horsehair crest that marks him as royalty. Instead, I can see his face clearly, every line and scar a testament to a life lived in constant preparation for this moment. They stop 20 feet from me. The silence that follows is deafening. 300 pairs of eyes fixed on the stranger in strange clothing, kneeling beside their fallen comrade with water still dripping from his canteen. I've been in dangerous situations before. I've faced down temporal anomalies that could have unraveled reality itself. I've negotiated with emperors and argued with scientists who thought they could reshape history to their liking. But nothing, absolutely nothing, has ever made me feel as exposed and vulnerable as this moment, surrounded by the most elite fighting force the ancient world has ever known. Leonidas steps forward, his sandaled feet making no sound on the blood-soaked ground. He's old for a warrior, probably in his 50s, but there's nothing diminished about him. He moves with the confidence of a man who knows exactly what he's capable of and has no need to prove it to anyone. Who are you? His voice is calm, measured, but there's steel underneath. The kind of voice that's commanded men to their deaths and watched them obey without hesitation. I stand slowly, keeping my movements non-threatening, my hands visible. Alexandros has closed his eyes. Whether in death or unconsciousness, I can't tell. The chrono module pulses softly on my wrist, counting down the seconds until it can safely initiate another jump. 90 seconds. I need to buy 90 seconds. My name is Nicola Brown, I say in ancient Greek, the language implant in my neural cortex translating my words instantly. I'm a traveler. I came upon your man here and he asked for water. I gave it to him. A traveler. Leonidas repeats the word like he's tasting it, testing it for truth. With clothing I've never seen, weapons I don't recognize, and a device on your arm that glows like captured starlight. What kind of traveler are you, Nicola Brown? Behind him I can see the other Spartans watching, their expressions unreadable behind their beards and beneath the shadows of their helmets. Some of them are young, barely more than boys despite their muscular builds and warrior bearing. Others are veterans, their bodies maps of old injuries and hard-won battles. Every single one of them looks like they could kill me with their bare hands without breaking a sweat. The kind who doesn't belong here, I answer honestly. Because if there's one thing I've learned about Spartans from all my research, it's that they value honesty above almost everything else. But I couldn't walk past a dying man without offering help. Something flickers in Leonidas's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or perhaps just curiosity about the fool who would dare speak so plainly to a king. Alexandros was not dying when we left him. The king's voice has changed, become colder. He took a spear to the chest in yesterday's fighting. Yes, it was a mortal wound. He should have died hours ago. We gave him the honor of choosing his own end, away from the heat of battle. We do not let our warriors suffer unnecessarily. And yet you say he asked you for water? I look down at Alexandros. His chest is still moving, barely, but it's moving. The wound in his armor should have killed him instantly, but something's keeping him alive. Something's changed. Oh no. The realization hits me like a physical blow. The water. My canteen. It's not just water. It's purified, treated with 21st century filtration and mineral enhancement designed to keep time travelers hydrated during extended missions. It has antibacterial properties, cellular regeneration boosters, compounds that the ancient world has never seen and won't discover for thousands of years. I just gave medicine from the future to a man who was supposed to die. He spoke to me, I say carefully, my mind racing through the implications. He asked for water. I gave it to him. That's all. That's all. Leonidas takes another step closer. We're 5 feet apart now. I can see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, the white scar that cuts through his left eyebrow. You appear out of nowhere, dressed like no man I've ever seen, carrying devices that shine with their own light. And you expect me to believe that you're just a traveler who happened to be passing through the hot gates at dawn? The same dawn when Persian scouts are no more than half a day's march behind us? The same dawn when every Greek who isn't a Spartan has abandoned us to face Xerxes' army alone? I can feel the tension ratcheting up with every word. The Spartans behind Leonidas have shifted their weight, hands moving imperceptibly closer to their weapons. They haven't drawn them yet, but the threat is clear. One wrong word and I'll be decorating the pass with my own blood before I can blink. I mean you no harm, I say, keeping my voice steady. I swear it. Your oaths mean nothing to me, stranger. Your actions, however. Leonidas glances down at Alexandros. If you've given him something that eases his pain, that's a kindness. If you've given him something that delays his death, that's a cruelty beyond measure. A Spartan does not linger. We die clean or we die fighting. We do not suffer. The chrono module vibrates against my skin. 60 seconds. But I can't leave now. Not with Alexandros lying there, his fate twisted by my interference. Not with 300 warriors staring at me like I'm either a miracle or an abomination. Let me examine him, I hear myself say. Please, if I've done something to harm him, let me try to make it right. For a long moment, Leonidas doesn't move. He's reading me, analyzing every micro-expression, every shift in my posture. He's been a king for how long? Long enough to know when someone's lying and when they're telling an uncomfortable truth. You have 5 minutes. he finally says, stepping aside. If Alexandros dies in those 5 minutes, you'll answer for it with your life. If he lives, he pauses, his expression unreadable. If he lives, we'll discuss what happens next. I kneel beside Alexandros again, my hands already reaching for the medical scanner in my coat pocket. It's disguised as a simple bronze disc, designed to blend in with ancient artifacts, but its technology is centuries beyond anything these men have ever imagined. I wave it over Alexandros's chest, and the readings make my heart sink. His vitals are stabilizing. The wound is still lethal, still catastrophic, but the enhanced water has triggered a cellular response that's slowing the bleeding, reducing inflammation, buying him hours he shouldn't have. He's going to survive long enough to suffer, long enough to feel every moment of his death instead of slipping away peacefully. Leonidas was right. I've been cruel instead of kind. I can end his pain, I say quietly, looking up at the king. I have something that will let him die peacefully without suffering. It's what he deserves. What he deserves, Leonidas repeats, his voice heavy with something I can't quite identify. Is to die like a Spartan, on his feet if possible, in battle if the gods allow it. You've taken that from him, stranger. You've made him weak when he should have been strong. The accusation stings because it's true. In trying to be compassionate, I've violated something fundamental about who these people are. The Spartans don't fear death. They prepare for it from childhood, welcome it as the natural end of a warrior's path. To prolong suffering, even with the best intentions, is to deny them their dignity. Then let me correct my mistake, I say, my voice harder now. Give me the chance to make this right. Alexandros's eyes flutter open. He looks at me, then at Leonidas, then back at me. When he speaks, his voice is stronger than it should be, clearer. My king, he rasps. This man, he's not from here. Not from Greece. Not from Persia. Not from any place I've ever heard of. His clothes, his speech, his eyes. He's from somewhere else. Somewhere distant. I can see that, Alexandros. Leonidas kneels on the other side of his fallen warrior. The gesture is remarkably gentle for a man of war. How do you feel? Strange. The pain is less, but wrong. It should be more. It should be ending. Instead, it's just there, waiting. Alexandros's eyes find mine again. What did you give me, stranger? Water that's been treated with compounds that don't exist in your world yet. Medicine from a place very far from here. I didn't know it would affect you this way, I'm sorry. Don't apologize for kindness, Alexandros says. And despite everything, there's a hint of a smile on his bloody lips. Even misguided kindness. You meant well. I can see it in your eyes. Meaning well doesn't change the consequence, Leonidas says, but his tone has softened slightly. Can you stand, Alexandros? I think, yes, with help. 2 Spartans step forward immediately, lifting their comrade with a gentleness that contradicts their warrior exterior. Alexandros gasps as they raise him to his feet, his hand clutching the wound in his chest. But he stays upright. The other warriors watch in silence, their expressions a mixture of concern and something else. Hope, maybe, or fear of what this means. If you can stand, you can fight, Leonidas says, and there's pride in his voice now. If you can fight, you're still a Spartan. The stranger has given you a gift even if he didn't intend it. A few more hours to serve Sparta, to stand with your brothers, to die not alone in the dirt but in the phalanx where you belong. Alexandros straightens despite the obvious pain it causes him. Yes, my king. Leonidas turns back to me, and now his expression is different, more thoughtful, more dangerous in its intelligence. You said you're from somewhere distant. How distant? The chrono module pulses. 30 seconds. I could jump now, disappear into the time stream, leave this mess behind, but something stops me. Maybe it's the way Leonidas is looking at me, like he's already figured out the truth and is just waiting for me to admit it. Maybe it's the weight of Alexandros's gratitude, the knowledge that I've already changed history in ways I can't predict. Or maybe it's just curiosity, that fatal flaw that's defined my entire career as a chrononaut. Very distant, I answer. Further than you can imagine. Further than the land of the Ethiopians? Further than the frozen wastes beyond Scythia? Further than the islands at the edge of the world where the sun sets? Further than that. Leonidas nods slowly, like I've confirmed something he suspected. The oracle at Delphi spoke of a man from nowhere who would arrive at the hot gates when the Persians came. She said he would bring water that heals and weapons that shine without fire. She said he would stand between two worlds, belonging to neither, serving both. He pauses, his eyes never leaving mine. I thought it was more of her cryptic nonsense. The oracle speaks in riddles designed to mean everything and nothing. But here you are, exactly as she described. My blood runs cold. I've read every account of the Battle of Thermopylae that survived to my time. Not once, not in a single source, is there any mention of an oracle's prophecy about a stranger, which means either it was never recorded, or I've already changed something fundamental about the timeline. I don't know anything about a prophecy, I say carefully. I'm just a man who made a mistake. A man who appears from nowhere. A man who carries medicine that defies nature. A man who speaks our language perfectly despite clearly being foreign. You're either a gift from the gods or a curse from Hades himself. Leonidas tilts his head slightly. Which are you, Nicola Brown from nowhere? The chrono module is screaming at me now. 15 seconds, jump window closing. If I don't leave now, I'll be stuck here for at least another 6 hours while the device recharges. 6 hours in 480 BCE. Surrounded by Spartan warriors who are starting to see me as something other than human. I should jump. Every instinct tells me to jump. But Leonidas is still waiting for an answer, and somehow, impossibly, I find myself wanting to give him one that's true. Neither, I finally say. I'm just someone who's seen too much and learned too little. I came here because... Why did I come here? The mission brief said reconnaissance only. Observe the Battle of Thermopylae, document the tactics, analyze the historical accuracy of the accounts. Standard temporal research. Nothing about giving water to dying warriors. Nothing about meeting Leonidas himself. Because I wanted to understand courage. Real courage. The kind that makes men stand against impossible odds knowing they'll die. Leonidas studies me for a long moment. Then, incredibly, he laughs. It's not a happy sound, but it's genuine. You came to the hot gates to understand courage? You could have saved yourself the journey, stranger. Courage is simple. It's standing where you need to stand, doing what needs to be done, regardless of the cost. It's not complicated. It's not heroic. It's just necessary. He gestures at the pass around us, at the cliffs and the narrow ground and the bodies of the dead. This place is perfect for 300 men to hold against thousands. The Persians can't flank us. They can't use their cavalry. They can only come at us straight on, where our discipline and our phalanx formation give us the advantage. We'll die here eventually, of course. Xerxes has too many men and we have too few. But we'll die buying time for Greece to prepare, for Athens to evacuate, for our people to survive. That's not courage, that's mathematics. The chrono module goes silent. The jump window is closed. I'm stuck here now, for better or worse. So you know you're going to die? I ask, the question slipping out before I can stop it. Of course. The oracle told our king that either Sparta would fall or a Spartan king would die. I volunteered. I chose this. 300 of us chose this. We're all volunteers, stranger. Every single man here could have stayed in Sparta, could have lived comfortable lives, could have grown old watching our children train to be warriors. But instead we're here, because this is where we're needed. This is where Sparta needs us to be. The sun has fully risen now, spilling golden light across the pass, illuminating the faces of the warriors around me. Some are young, barely old enough to grow proper beards. Others are grizzled veterans with scars crisscrossing their arms and legs. All of them are watching this exchange between their king and the strange outsider with expressions that range from curiosity to suspicion to something that might be hope. The Persians will be here soon, Leonidas continues, his voice taking on a harder edge. When they arrive, you have a choice. You can fight with us, die with us, and be remembered as the stranger who stood with Sparta at the hot gates. Or you can leave, go back to wherever you came from, and live with the knowledge that you ran when courage was required. The choice is yours. It's not really a choice at all. If I stay, I'll die. The historical record is clear about that. 300 Spartans and their allies make their stand at Thermopylae. All of them perish when a traitor shows the Persians a path around the pass. Staying here would be suicide. But if I leave now, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened. Whether my presence could have changed anything. Whether the water I gave Alexandros will ripple out through time and alter events in ways I can't predict or control. The chrononaut's dilemma. Observe or participate. Document or interfere. Stay safe or risk everything for the chance to matter. How long until the Persians arrive? I hear myself ask. Leonidas smiles. It's a warrior's smile, hard and knowing. Our scouts say they'll be here by midday. That gives you about 6 hours to decide who you are. Nicola Brown from nowhere. 6 hours to choose between survival and honor. 6 hours to figure out what courage really means. He turns to his men. Form up. Standard defensive positions. Shifts of 50 at the front. Rotation every 2 hours. Rest. Eat. Check your equipment. When the Persians come, they'll come like a flood. But we are Sparta. We are the rock that breaks the flood. We are the wall that does not fall. Ready yourselves, brothers. This is what we were born to do. The 300 move as one. A perfectly synchronized machine of bronze and flesh and discipline. They flow into positions throughout the pass, setting up defensive lines, checking weapons, making small adjustments to armor and shields. It's mesmerizing to watch, this choreography of war refined over generations into something almost beautiful. Alexandros is still standing, supported by 2 of his comrades. He catches my eye and nods once, a gesture of respect and gratitude that I'm not sure I deserve. Leonidas returns to me, his expression thoughtful. You're afraid. I can see it. But you're still here, that's interesting. I'm terrified, I admit. I've studied history my whole life, but I've never been part of it. Not like this. I've never had to fight. Never had to face death head-on. Then today will be educational. Leonidas claps a hand on my shoulder, his grip firm. Come, if you're going to die with us, you should at least eat with us first. Sparta doesn't send men into battle on empty stomachs. He leads me through the camp, pointing out various preparations as we walk. The Spartans have set up a temporary command center near a natural rock formation that provides some shade from the rising sun. There's food laid out, simple fare, bread, cheese, olives, wine mixed with water. It's the same meal these men have eaten every day of their lives, unremarkable and functional. We sit on rocks worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain. Leonidas breaks bread and hands me half, a gesture of hospitality that transcends culture and time. Tell me about where you're from, he says casually, as if we're 2 friends sharing a meal instead of a king and a time traveler sitting on the eve of a legendary battle. Your clothing suggests wealth but not nobility. Your bearing suggests education, but not softness. You're a contradiction, Nicola Brown. I take a bite of the bread. It's coarse, dry, but somehow it tastes better than anything I've eaten in years. I'm from a place where men don't have to be warriors, where battles are fought with words and laws instead of spears and shields, where courage is different. Different how? Quieter, more complicated. We have wars, but most people never see them. We have struggles, but they're about ideas and power and resources, not about standing in a line with bronze shields hoping your training holds when thousands of enemies come screaming at you. Leonidas considers this. That sounds like paradise. Or hell. I'm not sure which. Both, probably. We've solved a lot of problems, but we've created new ones. We've made life safer, longer, more comfortable. But sometimes I wonder if we've lost something important in the process. Some essential quality that made us human. Courage? Meaning? I look out at the 300 warriors preparing for their deaths. You know why you're here. You know what you're fighting for. You know it matters. Most people in my time, we're just existing, going through the motions, trying to be comfortable. We've forgotten how to stand for something that's bigger than ourselves. Leonidas laughs again, that same hard bark of amusement. So you came back to a time when men knew how to die properly? That's either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. We eat in silence for a while, watching the sun climb higher in the eastern sky. The temperature is rising, turning the pass into an oven of stone and heat. Some of the Spartans have removed their helmets, wiping sweat from their faces, but they remain in formation, disciplined and ready. The oracle's prophecy mentioned something else. Leonidas says eventually, his voice lower now. She said the man from nowhere would bring a choice, that he would offer Sparta a path to victory or a path to glory, but not both. She said I would have to choose which one mattered more. I feel a chill despite the heat. What does that mean? I don't know. Oracles never make things easy. But you're here now, and I'm starting to think maybe the prophecy was real after all. So tell me, stranger, what choice are you offering? What path can you show me that I haven't already seen? This is it. The moment where I could change everything. The chrono module has enough backup power for one emergency jump. I could take Leonidas with me. I could show him the future. Show him that his sacrifice here will be remembered for thousands of years, that his name will become synonymous with courage and honor. I could offer him a way out, a path to survival, a chance to see his wife and child again. But that would change history. It would unravel the timeline. The Battle of Thermopylae has to happen. Leonidas has to die here. The 300 have to make their stand. Because if they don't, if I interfere, there's no way to predict what will collapse. Athens might fall. Greece might never unite. Democracy might never spread. Western civilization as I know it might never exist. I can't give you victory. I say slowly, choosing each word with care. The Persians have too many men. But I can promise you that what you do here will matter. That people will remember that your sacrifice won't be in vain. Promises from a stranger mean nothing. I know, but it's all I can offer. Leonidas nods like this is the answer he expected. Then keep your promises, Nicola Brown, and I'll keep mine. Sparta will stand. We'll buy Greece the time it needs. And when the poets sing of this battle, they'll sing of courage that didn't waver, discipline that didn't break, and 300 men who chose honor over survival. The rest of the morning passes in a strange state of suspended tension. I help where I can, carrying water to the warriors, adjusting equipment, learning the basics of Spartan tactics from men who've been training for this their entire lives. They're surprisingly patient with me, explaining the phalanx formation, demonstrating how to move in unison, teaching me the calls and signals they use in battle. Alexandros is among them, somehow still on his feet despite the wound in his chest. He's pale, clearly in pain, but determined. He shows me how to hold a shield, how to brace it against my shoulder to absorb the impact of enemy weapons. You lock your shield with the man beside you, he explains, his voice strained but steady. You protect him, he protects you. That's the phalanx, that's Sparta. We fight as one because alone we're just men. Together we're invincible. But you're not invincible, I say quietly. You know that, right? Of course we're not. He grins, and there's something almost joyful in his expression. We're mortal. We bleed. We die. But while we're alive, while we're standing together, we're something more than mortal. We're an idea. We're proof that discipline and training and brotherhood can overcome even impossible odds, at least for a little while. Is that enough? A little while? It has to be. It's all anyone gets. The difference is, we get to choose how we use our little while. Most men waste it. We're spending ours on something that matters. I think about my own life. The centuries I come from where people live for decades accumulating comfort and security but rarely sacrificing anything, rarely standing for something that costs them everything. These men are going to die today or tomorrow, most of them never seeing their 30th year. But they'll die knowing exactly who they are and what they stood for. It's almost noon when the scouts return. Their faces are grim. My king, the lead scout reports, breathless from running. The Persians, they're here. The advance guard is less than an hour away, thousands of them. The main army behind them stretches back farther than we could see. It's like the oracle said, like trying to count the stars. Leonidas rises from where he's been sitting, checking his armor one final time. How many thousands? At least 10 in the vanguard, possibly twice that. Immortals among them, wearing their golden armor. Xerxes himself is with the main force, they say. He wants to watch the Greeks break. He'll be disappointed then. Leonidas's voice is calm, almost cheerful. Form up. First shift to the front, second shift ready behind. The rest of you, Stay alert and rest while you can. This is going to be a long day. The 300 move into position with the precision of a well-oiled machine. The pass narrows to perhaps 50 feet at its tightest point, and that's where Leonidas has positioned his front line. Behind them, layers of Spartans stand ready to rotate in when the first group tires. It's a brilliant defensive strategy, using the terrain to negate the Persians' numerical advantage. I'm standing near the back, trying to stay out of the way, when Leonidas appears beside me. He's wearing his helmet now, the horsehair crest dyed bright red, making him instantly identifiable even in the chaos of battle. "You have a choice," he says, handing me a spear and shield. "You can fight with us as a hoplite, part of the phalanx, or you can stay here, help move the wounded, bring water to those who need it. Both are honorable, both are necessary." I look at the weapons in my hands. They're heavier than I expected, the balance all wrong compared to the training simulations I've run. I've studied ancient warfare, analyzed battle tactics, written papers on hoplite combat methodology, but holding an actual spear, wearing an actual shield is entirely different from academic knowledge. I don't know how to fight, I admit. Then stay back. Keep Alexandros company. He'll need water soon, thanks to whatever magic you gave him. And when the wounded start coming back, help them however you can. That's just as important as holding the line. Thank you. Leonidas nods once, then returns to the front. I watch him take his position in the center of the phalanx, his shield locked with the men beside him, his spear held at the perfect angle. Behind him, 299 other warriors mirror his stance, creating a wall of bronze and determination that seems unbreakable. Then I see them. The Persians emerge from the heat shimmer like a nightmare made flesh. They come in waves, thousands upon thousands, their armor glittering in the noon sun, their weapons bristling like the quills of some enormous beast. They carry bows and arrows, spears and swords, curved blades that look designed for slaughter. Their war cries echo off the cliff walls, a cacophony of different languages and battle shouts that blend into a sound like thunder. At the front are the immortals, Xerxes' elite guard, so named because their numbers are always kept at exactly 10,000. When one falls, another immediately takes his place, making them seem endless and undying. They wear scale armor that catches the light like fish scales, and their masks are decorated with gold and lapis lazuli, turning them into something inhuman and terrifying. The Spartans don't make a sound. They stand in perfect silence, shields locked, spears ready, waiting for the storm to break against them. The first Persian arrows darken the sky. I watch them arc upward, hundreds of them, blotting out the sun for a moment before they rain down on the phalanx. The Spartans simply raise their shields, creating a roof of bronze overhead. The arrows clatter against the shields like deadly hail, and when they pass, not a single Spartan has fallen. Leonidas' voice cuts through the silence. "Spartans, what is your profession?" "Ahoo, ahoo, ahoo!" The response is deafening, a war cry that's older than memory, a sound designed to strike fear into the hearts of enemies and courage into the souls of brothers. The Persians charge. They come like a flood, screaming and wild, their discipline nothing compared to their numbers. They crash into the Spartan phalanx with the force of a battering ram hitting a stone wall. For a moment the sound is indescribable. Bronze on bronze, screams of rage and pain, the wet crunch of spears finding flesh, the percussion of shields being hammered by enemy weapons. The Spartan line doesn't move, doesn't bend, doesn't break. I watch in awe as the phalanx operates exactly as it was designed to do. The Spartans in front thrust their spears over their shields in perfect unison, creating a wall of bronze points that the Persians impale themselves on in their eagerness to break through. When a Spartan in front grows tired, he steps back and another immediately takes his place. The transition so smooth it's like watching a single organism breathe. The Persians die by the dozens, by the hundreds, their bodies piling up in front of the phalanx, until they create their own obstacle. The narrow pass works exactly as Leonidas planned. The Persians can't bring their superior numbers to bear. They can only attack 50 men at a time, and those 50 men are the best trained warriors in the ancient world. But it's not without cost. I see Spartans fall too, spears finding gaps in armor, arrows finding exposed flesh. When a warrior goes down, his brothers immediately close ranks, maintaining the wall even as they mourn. The wounded crawler are carried back from the line, their faces stoic even in agony. That's when I realize what Leonidas meant about my role. The wounded need help. They need water. They need someone to ease their pain while their brothers continue fighting. I move forward with my canteen, kneeling beside a young Spartan whose left arm hangs useless from a sword strike. He's maybe 20 years old, his beard still patchy, his eyes wide with pain and adrenaline. Water, I offer. He nods, drinking deep. Thank you, stranger, I can still fight. Just need a moment. Your arm. I have another arm. And the spear doesn't care which hand holds it. He stands wobbling slightly, then returns to the line, joining the rotation of fresh warriors moving up to replace those who've been fighting. 14:15. This pattern continues for hours. The Persians attack in waves, each one breaking against the Spartan phalanx like water against stone. Xerxes tries different tactics, sending his immortals attacking from multiple angles, using archers to rain death from above. Nothing works. The pass is too narrow, the Spartans too disciplined, the defensive position too perfect. By late afternoon, the ground in front of the phalanx is a carpet of Persian dead. The smell is overwhelming, a mixture of blood and bowels and fear. The Spartans are covered in gore, their red cloaks now darker with enemy blood, their bronze shields scarred and dented but unbroken. Finally, the Persians pull back. The assault has failed. They leave their dead behind, thousands of them, and retreat to regroup. The Spartans remain in position, not celebrating, not relaxing, just waiting for the next wave. Leonidas walks the line, checking on his men, offering words of encouragement. When he reaches me, he pulls off his helmet and I can see the exhaustion in his eyes. Water, he says simply, and I hand him my canteen. He drinks, then pours some over his head, washing away the blood and sweat. You did well today, stranger. Many of my men are still standing because you kept them hydrated, kept them focused. That's not glory, but it's necessary. Remember that. How many did you lose? 12 so far. All of them died well. All of them died Spartan. He looks out at the field of Persian dead. They'll try again tomorrow and the next day, and eventually they'll find a way around this pass. There's always a way around. Someone will betray us, show them the path. That's how these things work. Courage doesn't last forever. Someone's courage always breaks first. Then why stay? If you know you're going to die, if you know someone will betray you, why not retreat now while you still can? Leonidas smiles, tired but genuine, because those 12 men who died today bought Athens another day to prepare. Tomorrow's dead will buy them another day. And when we finally fall, when the Persians finally break through, Athens will have had enough time to evacuate. The Greek fleet will be ready. The city-states will be united in a way they've never been before. Our deaths will mean something, Nicola Brown. Our sacrifice will save Greece. That's why we stay. As the sun sets, painting the mountains in shades of orange and purple, I find myself sitting with Alexandros again. He's still alive, still conscious, though the wound in his chest must be agony. The enhanced water from my canteen is keeping him going, giving him hours he shouldn't have. I dreamed I would die in battle, he tells me, his voice barely above a whisper. Every Spartan boy dreams that. We're raised to see death in combat as the highest honor, the greatest achievement. But I thought I would die quickly, cleanly. A spear through the heart, a sword across the throat, not this, not lingering. I'm sorry, I say again, and I mean it more now than I did this morning. I didn't understand what I was doing. Don't apologize. You gave me something precious. You gave me today. I stood in the phalanx this afternoon. I fought beside my brothers. I killed 3 Persians, maybe 4. I got to die the way I always wanted, just slower. That's not your fault. That's fate. The gods have their own plans. Do you believe that? That the gods control everything? I believe that some things are written in the stars and some things we write ourselves. The trick is knowing which is which. He coughs, and blood flecks his lips. You're from the future, aren't you? The far future. That's why your clothes are so strange. That's why your water has magic in it. I don't bother denying it. Yes, and you came back to watch us die? To witness history? Something like that. Then witness this, time traveler. Witness that we chose this. Witness that we stood when we could have run. Witness that Sparta kept its promise, even knowing the cost. And when you return to your time, when you're safe and comfortable and old, remember that once, 300 men stood in a pass and said no to an empire. Remember that courage isn't complicated. It's just choosing to stand when you could sit down. Choosing to fight when you could flee. Choosing honor over survival. He closes his eyes. And for a moment, I think he's died. But his chest continues to rise and fall, each breath a small victory against the wound that should have killed him hours ago. The night passes in watches. The Spartans rotate through sleep and guard duty, maintaining discipline even in exhaustion. I don't sleep. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see the wall of Persian dead, the Spartan wounded, the inevitability of tomorrow. Dawn comes too quickly. The sun rises over the mountains, illuminating the pass once again, and with the light comes the Persians. More of them this time, fresh troops replacing yesterday's casualties. They've learned from the first day's failures, coming more cautiously, trying to probe for weaknesses in the Spartan formation. But there are no weaknesses. The phalanx holds through another day of brutal fighting. The Spartans lose more men, 15 this time, but the Persians lose hundreds, maybe thousands. The calculus is simple and terrible. Sparta is trading lives for time, and the exchange rate favors the defenders. By the second sunset, I've lost count of how many wounded I've helped, how many times I've offered water to men who are about to die. My hands are covered in blood that won't wash off. My clothes are soaked with sweat and gore, and my mind is numb from witnessing so much death. Alexandros is still alive. Barely. He's feverish now, the wound finally starting to overwhelm even my enhanced water. He keeps mumbling about his wife, about a son he'll never meet, about Sparta and honor and dying well. Soon, I tell him, holding his hand. Soon, you can rest. Not yet. He gasps. Not until the Persians break. Not until I know we held. On the third day, the betrayal comes. A local Greek named Ephialtes arrives at the Persian camp and offers to show Xerxes a mountain path that leads around the pass. By nightfall, Persian troops are marching through the darkness, flanking the Spartan position, preparing to attack from behind. Leonidas learns of the betrayal from his scouts just before midnight. He calls his officers together, and I'm invited to the council despite my status as an outsider. Gentlemen, Leonidas says calmly, as if discussing the weather instead of imminent death. The Persians have found their way around. By dawn, they'll attack us from both sides. Our position is no longer defensible. I'm ordering all Greek allies to retreat immediately. Save yourselves. Save Greece. Your deaths here would serve no purpose. And the Spartans? One of the officers asks, though he already knows the answer. The Spartans stay. We made a promise. We'll keep it. 300 came to the hot gates. 300 will die at the hot gates. That's our law. That's our honor. That's Sparta. The other Greeks argue, offering to stay, to die alongside the Spartans. But Leonidas is firm. They have families, they have cities that need defending, they have futures worth living for. The Spartans have none of these things. They came here to die. They'll die here. As the Greek allies depart, moving through the darkness to safety, I make my own decision. The chrono module has recharged. I can jump anytime I want. I can escape this doomed position, return to my own time, file my report, and live out the rest of my life knowing I witnessed history but didn't die in it. But Alexandros is still alive, still clinging to consciousness, still waiting to see the end. And Leonidas is standing by the command fire, watching his men prepare for their final battle with an expression of peace I've never seen on anyone's face before. I'm staying, I tell the king. He looks at me unsurprised. I thought you might. The oracle said the man from nowhere would stand with Sparta at the end. I guess prophecies do come true sometimes. I don't believe in prophecies. Neither do I. But I believe in choices, and you've made yours. He hands me a spear, a shield, a helmet. If you're going to die with us, die as one of us. Take a position in the phalanx. Stand with your brothers. Die, Spartan. The final dawn comes like a benediction, golden light spilling across the mountains one last time. The Persians attack from both sides simultaneously, thousands upon thousands, knowing this time there's no defensive position to save the Greeks. This time it's just 300 men against an army. The Spartans form a circle, shields out, spears ready. I take my position among them, my heart hammering so hard I can barely breathe. Alexandros is beside me, somehow still on his feet, his spear held in trembling hands. "Thank you," he whispers. "For the water, for the time, for standing with us now. Thank you," I reply, "for showing me what courage really means." Leonidas stands in the center of the circle, his voice carrying over the sound of approaching enemies. "Spartans, today we dine in Sparta or we dine in Hades. Either way we dine as brothers. Either way we die free, for Sparta, for Greece, for everything worth dying for." Ahoo! 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 The Persians crash into us like a wave against a rock. The phalanx holds for minutes, then breaks. We fight as individuals now, each Spartan an island of discipline in a sea of chaos. I thrust my spear at faces I'll never remember, hide behind my shield from weapons I can barely see, move on instinct and adrenaline and pure survival reflex. Spartans fall around me. Alexandros goes down first, finally succumbing to his wounds. But he dies with his spear in a Persian throat, dies the way he always wanted. Others follow one by one, the circle shrinking as the Persians overwhelm us through sheer numbers. I feel a spear slam into my shield, nearly knocking me down. Then another hits my leg and I'm falling, the world tilting sideways. I see Leonidas still fighting, surrounded by Persians, his spear broken, fighting now with his sword, his shield, his bare hands when those are gone. He dies standing, dies defiant, dies exactly as a Spartan king should die. The last thing I see before darkness takes me is my chrono module, still active on my wrist, its emergency beacon pulsing. The temporal authority will retrieve my body eventually, will pull me out of this timeline and return me to my own era for medical treatment. But for now, in this moment, I'm just another fallen warrior in the pass at Thermopylae. Just another man who chose to stand when he could have run. Just another Spartan even if I wasn't born one. Time doesn't wait, but I did. I stayed. I stood. I fought. And somehow, impossibly, that matters. When I wake up, I'm in a recovery pod at Temporal Authority headquarters. White walls, sterile lighting, the hum of medical equipment. I'm alive. Barely. The spear wound in my leg was serious, the blood loss nearly fatal. But I'm alive. The mission debrief is brutal. I've violated every protocol. I've interfered with history. I've potentially created timeline anomalies that could take years to fully assess. I'm suspended pending investigation, possibly facing criminal charges for temporal interference. I don't care. Because 3 days after I wake up, a researcher brings me new data. Historical records that didn't exist before my mission. Accounts of a foreign warrior who stood with Leonidas, who gave water to the dying, who fought and fell alongside the 300. Songs and poems mentioning a man from nowhere who appeared at the hot gates and disappeared into legend. I changed history, but apparently I was always supposed to change it. The timeline adjusted around my interference, incorporated it, made it part of the story that was always meant to be told. The oracle's prophecy was real. The man from nowhere was always part of the Battle of Thermopylae. I just hadn't realized it until I became him. 6 months later, I'm cleared for active duty. The investigation concluded that while I violated protocols, I didn't actually change the timeline in any meaningful way. The Battle of Thermopylae still happened. Leonidas still died. The 300 still made their stand. I was just there. A footnote in the history books. A mysterious figure that scholars will debate for centuries. But I know the truth. I know what courage really means. I know what it feels like to stand when every instinct screams to run. I know what it means to choose honor over survival, meaning over comfort, sacrifice over safety. And I know that somewhere in the past, in a narrow pass between mountains, 300 men and one time traveler taught an empire that free men will always fight harder than slaves. That discipline beats numbers. That courage isn't complicated. It's just choosing to stand when you could sit down. Time doesn't wait. But I do. I still do. Because every mission now, every jump through the time stream, every moment I spend observing history, I carry Thermopylae with me. I carry Leonidas's words. I carry Alexandros's gratitude. I carry the memory of what it means to be Spartan, even if just for a day. The chrono module pulses on my wrist, ready for the next mission, ready for the next adventure through time, ready for whatever comes next. But before I jump, I always pause. I always take a moment to remember. I always whisper 3 words that have become my new mantra, my new truth, my new understanding of what it means to be human, for Sparta, for Greece, for everything worth dying for. Then I press the button, and time swallows me whole, carrying me forward into history, backward into legend, always moving but never forgetting. Never forgetting the dawn I stood with 300 warriors and learned what courage really means. Never forgetting the water I gave to a dying Spartan and the debt I can never repay. Never forgetting that some choices echo through eternity, and some stands matter forever.